Hi, my name is Alejandro Pérez Pérez, and this is the AI Coffee Podcast. Every 2 weeks, you will have one episode regarding one disruptive aspect of technology and artificial intelligence for the time to drink a cup of coffee. As we are arriving at the 30th episode of this podcast, we have a very special program for you. Today, we're not going to be only two, we're going to be three people in this podcast. We have two very interesting guests. Welcome, Camilla. Welcome, Francisco.
Hi, thank you so much.
Hello, Alejandro.
Camilla Roveri is an expert in AI for public services and a member of the EU co-founded project AI for Gov. Then Francisco Nicolai is an experienced data scientist with an expertise in Python data visualization and the telecommunications industry. This episode is going to have two parts. So, in the first part is going to be a small interview of each of them, just for you to make you context of their background and their experience. And then we are going to introduce you a use case, a project that we have been working on together during the last months that I think is going to be very interesting, also related to AI. And I think you will love it. So let's start with you, Camila. So the first question is more about your background. So what inspired you to advocate for human rights and social inclusion through AI?
So, first of all, thank you so much, Alejandro, for the invitation. I'm not an expert about it, about AI and public services. I'm just really curious about it. Okay, so my educational background is more in social sciences. I have a bachelor in international relations and diplomacy. And after that, I specialized myself into cooperation for sustainable development. So in my whole life, I always wanted to combine my studies with a strong social focus. I always did volunteer work. At first in my village, in something more local. So, for example, helping association with children, with elderly people, people with disabilities, and migrants. And I also engaged when I was at the university with organization bigger that I don't know, for example, Amnesty International Italia. And so I always I decided that my professional career was always in a line with a strong social focus. So I start to get more into the AI for development during, of course, my master in cooperation. Especially, it was a really normal seminars about ICTs, and I don't know, it was a project for empower energy in some village in Nigeria through AI systems. So for me, it was this is interesting, but is it possible? So then I start to talk with professors and all of this stuff, and it was possible because there are some AI systems that are more easy to create, and you can use resources that we can found, and we can can be also in development contest. So I decided to pursue, when I was in Chile during the COVID, a thesis about AI for improving healthcare, with a focus in trusted AI systems in a line with the Sustainable Development Goals, especially the goal number 3, that it was for the healthcare. And also my supervisor, she's a really good professor into the human rights and in digital age, is Celia Fernandez Aller. So for me, it was also useful have her during my this journey. So in my view, the development in general as a concept should always prioritize people and the people's well-being. So, for example, right now I'm more interested into the all of the emerging technologies, AI, digital transition, and since all of this stuff have significant impact in our lives, it's important to raise questions about all of our rights, freedoms, security, and the privacy. I don't know, like right now I'm more into understand if it's is it possible to promote a responsible human rights based approach to the for the development of these technologies, and like is it that we have also to have clear that we have to ensure technology serves humanity's as best interest. So for this, it's really like my purpose right now.
It seems also that you are really passionate about that topic, Camila, and just I would also you to talk a little bit about your main project, which is related to the AI for Gov project. I mean, we haven't said at this time, but we were colleagues in the AI for Gov Master. There were already at this time in the podcast many guests that were involved in this master, and now it's the time for you to explain a little bit the main challenges about this big ecosystem of students, teachers, but also many others. So, can you tell us what are for you the main challenges in the future?
Okay, so at first I will briefly introduce the project. Um, okay, it's a really ambitious project, and not just only because they pay me my salaries every month, but I really trust in the goal, because the main purpose is to empower all of the people that are involved in digitalize the public sector, so the public servants. Um, right now, all of the our public administration like requires a transformation that it's not just only to address technical challenges, but also like we have to empower people to understand and to be more capable, and we need capable workforce. So we need to promote new models of working, new models of organized the environment, the work environment. And I don't know, for example, right now I want to like analyze better what is like the if is it possible to promote an ecosystem where different actors, for example, industry, academia, the government, policymaker, practitioners, technicians, can like really work together and with a common purpose. So promote human-centric AI in public, like in public services. I think that this project. It's like the educational purpose, it's really good and it's innovative, because at the end in Europe we don't have nothing common. The like the challenge more like hard, it's to um, like maintain and improve our like organization and our capabilities to continue to, I don't know, expand our horizon as project. But also we need to like create a reputation that we can like share and advertise our work. The problem in ecosystems where different actors are involved, it's that we need to understand all of the different needs, different goals, and the purpose of different actors, and find a common language where work together. Because, for example, I worked in a technical lab group at the university, but I came from politics. So for me, for example, optimize something is different from people's from computer science or from engineering. I think that it's important to include when we want to build AI-based systems, include also that these will be results and products for the society. So we have to include that the the recipes of these like project are people. We need to, like as I said before, ensure that this technology allow more people to participate, and that where they right that their rights are always like guarantees. So for example, in this master we learn the design methodology, and for me I think that it's the basis to build an ecosystem, because at the end you learn how to listen and how to understand better the needs of all of the actors. So for me this can help like a really like a lot to build strong connections. So I hope that this methodology will be like a basis of our AI for Gov ecosystems. But since we have a really nice school as Politecnico di Milano, I think that they will like advocacy for this.
Really interesting. Yes, I forgot to say that one of the good points of this ecosystem is that we are now friends. It's also a way to know people, to meet to meet people that are working more or less in the same field as you are working, or interested at least in the same things. And in our case, I think we became friends while working, and that's also one of the main points. Yes. I don't know. Do you have any other things to add, Camila? Or
No, I pass the ball to Francisco.
great, great. So Francisco, let's go with you now. So in your case, you come from a very different background because, well, you are a data scientist. You are a technical guy, and it's also really interesting to get your point of view about what we have said before of the master, and also if you can start maybe talking, why did you decide to move your career through the data scientist world, and also about AI. What's your perception about that?
Okay, thanks, Alejandro. So, as you said, I come from a more technical background, but it is not a computer science one. So, indeed, in reality, I studied a bachelor in electrical engineering, but I have never worked within that field itself, like producing and transforming energy. What happened? So, when I had to perform my first internship, I got hired at Entel, Empresa Nacional de Telecomunicaciones in Chile, and that's a telecom company. And there I had to work. So my first artificial intelligence models, or as you can simply call them, linear regressions, to in order to understand why or what made the customers, the clients of the company, happier or angrier with the service. So the the historical point of view of improving the service was like quality of service oriented. Now we were trying to move forward into a more quality of experience uh, type of study. So in order to perform that, we said the idea came up like, okay, so how might we understand better what does the client or the customer want? And there we said, okay, so maybe we can study specific surveys that we can make to them, and we can also study the technical parameters of the service that we are providing. There, I had the challenge a challenge to address. It was churn analysis, a very typical machine learning problem, and also we have to face another type of problem, which was understanding the satisfaction itself, like what grade will the customer give to our service.
It sounds really interesting, your background, your career, and I think it's also really it could be really interesting for others to learn from your experience. But also, Francisco, one important thing is that well, we are talking from different sides of the Atlantic Ocean right now. So at this time, well, even farther, you are in Santiago de Chile, in Chile. And I think that one also interesting thing to talk about is how do you see Chilean AI landscape in the present and in the future?
Well, it is interesting indeed because it's changing. It is evolving every day. Even today and last week, where Chile participated in a regional conference, which was performed here in Santiago, in a joint effort to move towards or forwards a more use centric of artificial intelligence within Latin American countries. Specifically, I will say that it is interesting in an educational point of view. Chile and Chilean universities, and among others in the world, such as UPM, where we the three of us studied, are creating new programs where you might get a better specialization of artificial intelligence techniques. And there is also a legal framework being built up. So, as for now, Chile is moving forward the use of artificial intelligence. There are centers of study that have been created, like the CENIA, Centro Nacional de Inteligencia Artificial, which try to work and be a mixture of public and private industries or efforts to use AI into public beneficial use cases. Also, the legal framework that I just mentioned, it's trying to regulate which artificial intelligence techniques can be used or can't be used according to the legal framework. Here, there are two potential use cases: those that are like high risk oriented, and those that are um, not possible to perform because the risk is unacceptable. How is this going to be performed? We don't know yet because it is still in the Congress. It is being discussed, and there are many points that have to be improved, like who is going to work, like regulating and reading and assessing all these new initiatives, and also which are going to be like the participants. For now, there will be participants in that new uh, uh, evaluation group coming from the universities in Chile, coming from the Congress, and coming out of I have forgotten the last part, but it is like a very multidisciplinary group. But as I said, it is improving and it is moving forward. I think that Chile is learning and trying to replicate the European efforts that have been performed until now. It is even written in this law. So yes, it is interesting and it is evolving.
It is really interesting because while you were talking about this risks perspective, that it's very clear in the AI Act, well, at least at this moment, and yes, and it's really interesting that you are taking our regulation, and also for you in your specific case, you studied this in the master, so it feels really like you are an advantaged person in the AI perspective field, let's say in Chile. Yeah. Very
Yes,
interesting.
indeed. There are things that we were able to understand that are missing here. Important topics, for example, responsibility. If an AI system fails, who is in charge? Who is responsible for that? The data provider, the person who programmed this, or the entity or the public service that owns it and uses.
Yes, but I think that's something that is going to come little by little in the following years, I think worldwide, because, well, I had a conversation a couple of weeks ago that was really interesting. And there was, well, a woman told me that um, is it really necessary to have an AI regulation like that, like an AI regulation? Because in the following years, I think we are not going to talk about AI. We are going to be deeper in the field, and the regulation that we are having now, maybe it's just the surface of everything. Because I mean, 20 years ago, people were talking about computers, but that was the final point, and then we continue with, I don't know, internet, data, now AI. So maybe in 30 years, no one is going to talk about AI. Everyone is going to go and to talk maybe about this specific use case, a law for deep fakes with a generative AI. I don't know. Maybe there's like many other things, but of course, this is a process coming little by little, and it's really interesting that also in the other border of the Atlantic Ocean, you are working on that. Yes, really, really interesting. So, if you are okay, let's pass
If
to the
I may
next.
say something.
Yes, go on,
Sorry.
Camila.
No, I just only like to put my 2 cents because, for example, I totally agree with you, and I think that also the all of the regulation process is always more slow than, for example, the technology development. So discussing with other people's because I'm part of like an association from the ELISA, the consortium of the universities. They are more into the ethical approaches. And we're discussing just last week about if it could be useful to not talk about ethicals, but talk about human rights approach that you have to like implement during all of the development process. So at first, you can always be ensured to take into account the human rights regulation. So because it's the only it's an international law signed for different countries. So at the end, in paper, people sign it and there are a lot of agreement about it. So this I think that it's a nice view, a nice interesting stuff, and also we can implement it through the design methodology. Because, for example, I don't know if you remind, but there was a session that Martina shared, I think in the third module in November, that it was like a value-based approach. So there are exist something similar. So we can like include during the ideation, the problem framing, and all of this stuff. We can include also value that for us it's important, and maybe for in this case could be human rights. That's all.
Yes, yes, no, it's totally fair what you said, because at the end of the day, we are talking about humans doing things, so and suffering from other actions. So it's totally fair that at the end of the day, I mean, it doesn't matter if you are doing a deep fake with I don't know, an AI or without an AI. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you are doing something wrong with another human. So
Yeah.
so yeah, maybe I mean in 20 years we are going to have many much more efficient or better tools to do deep fakes, but it doesn't matter. The thing is the same, and we are the same humans at the end of the day. Yeah, really interesting. Actually, greetings to all of our colleagues and teachers and everyone. You mentioned Martina, but also for the rest, greetings at this moment if you are listening. I hope so. Yeah. So now we are going to go deeper into the very interesting project that we have worked together, to the artifacts project. So well, I will introduce it a little bit, if you want to, and then I want you to create a little bit of debate. I have some questions on some points that I want to highlight of this use case. But I think it was a very interesting project, because well, that was more or less for the audience to get context. That was more for the last part of the master. We were working in groups, and in our group, we were working in a platform that was supposed to have a sentimental analysis tool that provides personalized recommendations based on visitors data to let like museums such as Museo del Prado in Madrid, or Louvre Museum in France, in Paris, or like big museums to identify and address the main pain points that they could have. Like, for example, accessibility, prices, or I don't know, timetables, whatever. So we had the feeling that most of the big museums in the world, they want to improve their user experience, but they don't know exactly how. And that was like our main hypothesis. And now I let Camilla, maybe if you wanted to introduce you a little bit more the frame that we have, all the context and the needs we saw at that point.
Yeah, at first, I don't know about you, but for example, for me, it was the first time that I was into the cultural tourism field. And for me, it was like, okay, I always visited a museum, but no idea of how it works. So I remember when they like show to us like the challenge, it was, okay, we have to increase the, we saw that there is an increasing interesting in adopting data-driven like approaches to improve and to measuring the service quality of museum in this case, or experience, a cultural experience. And I remember that it was something like really in relation with some project, like really real project of in that in the Politecnico de Milan they did, I think, in management or something like that. I remember something, I don't know if it's right, in with the Italian Ministry of Cultural Heritage. So it was like quite nice at first. And I remember what we were discussing about, okay, we have to like understand better the frame. And it was, okay, we can start. The problem is that we need to analyze all of the different aspects of the user experience to provide to public administration like data to improve. And I remember Marcia, that was our like supervisor for the all design, the survey design part, and she said like, this is, do you, maybe it's too much. And we were like, no, don't worry, everything is fine. And no, it was like really hard also, because understand the concept of user experience in a museum. It was, okay, it's accessibility, it's everything about the content of the experience of the, I don't know, the exposition. It's understand at the end also like the environment of the museum, the all of how the stuff are collocated into the space. So it was something like more, I don't know, maybe interior, something like interior design, organization, something more into the concept. So I remember that at first was really difficult to frame all of this like situation. And I was like scrubbing here like in our platform where we were working, and we prepared like really some like a really work like really deep. But at the end, the important stuff, it was to understand the basic needs of the stakeholders. So I remember that when we said, okay, our principal stakeholders were, I don't want to like wrong stuff, but for example, it was the museum director, or the board of the director, the visitors, and the PA in charge. But I think that at least for us, the most important two were the museum directors and the visitors. So we start to understand better, I don't know, what are the main needs, what are the social needs that they have. So for example, basic needs, I have to be safe, I need toilet, as I'm a visitor, I need toilet, I'm a visitor, I need food and drinks, or I need to understand in my proper language, or like in my language, or I don't know if I have the like diverse something, I don't know, a diverse functional. I need to understand the exposition. I need to understand if it's our museum with paintings. I need to understand the paintings. So, and for the other side, it was like the museum administration and the museum director. That it was like, for example, I need more money. I need to expand my audience. I need, I don't like, I need to. Train staff to ensure a really nice experience for my visitors. So I remember that at the end, we were, okay, we need to focus more in something like user experience to understand better, I don't know, the accessibilities and the basic stuff in order to suggest improvements for the museum director, if I remember good.
Yeah,
I
that's,
don't
I
know,
think,
Francisco.
that was the frame, and I agree with you that it was really wide at the beginning, but that's also the magic of design, right? Like first we do something big, and then we narrow down and we go to the things that we can do actually, because an important part of that was the data and AI there, and I think Francisco, so you can say more things about that. Um, we tried many things, but at the end of the day, we were students. We don't have like really powerful computers and just normal ones, let's say. And also we knew some coding thing. I mean, we have some coding knowledge around. I mean, in us, we have them, but we are not so maybe professionals of AI models and so on. So at the end of the day, we have some limitations. So Francisco, can you maybe say more things about how we handle this goal?
Yes, of course. I really like the framing Camila made because she didn't leave any detail outside of it. I found this project to be very interesting, uh, and funny, and for me, it motivated me because I would empathize with the project main goal, right? Because me as a visitor of a museum, I have seen or I have experienced bad moments, right? And I will say like, okay, how can I improve this? Because I don't know, there's like a review book, an old review book with a pencil, or maybe not even that, and you don't know if anybody's gonna read that. So starting from that, the project was indeed interesting. So moving forward to the solution we proposed, the main objective was like, okay, so how can we make the reviews of the visitors talk to maybe key performance indicators or variables that the person in charge could manipulate to activate them and to improve them, right? So first of all, we said, okay, let's solve that problem using AI, right? If you don't know how to connect an entrance and an exit, maybe AI can do that for you, solving the mystery of how something affects other thing. So first of all, we needed the reviews, right? So we decided to go to the one and only place where we will be able to look for them, the internet. And so we started scrapping them out of a website very famous because users will review famous places, right? And to do so, we used a very common and popular library of Python called Beautiful Soup, and we will get the first 5,000 reviews of each museum from the top 3 evaluated museums for every country in the OCDE group. Once we had the reviews, we were able to, or we wanted to understand, okay, so maybe somebody is giving an input that might not be useful for us. Like, I don't know, it was beautiful. I didn't like it. But why? The main objective was to understand why, right? So we will discard those based on a machine learning model, another one, right? Which will say if some of some text, is it a review, is it an opinion, or is it just plain text, right? So we would like to find out the opinions, right? Because those are useful to understand if something is good, evaluated, good or bad. But at the end, at the same time, we needed those opinions to be fundamented, right? So we will use an artificial intelligence model, a transformer, which is used for natural language processing through Hugging Face API. Okay, so by the way, Hugging Face is a platform, an open source platform. They are trying to democratize the use of artificial intelligence. I really admire the work they do. It is very interesting and very easy to use. If you ever feel interested, you can search for the website, and they have even tutorials, and everything is free, even though they do provide commercial licenses and support. Okay, so we used that model to understand, okay, so these reviews, are they useful for us, yes or no? Once we had done that, we tried to classificate these reviews among certain topics that we knew will be useful for the public administrator in charge, right? Like, Okay, are we talking about accessibility, as Camila said? Are we talking about, I don't know, lights, bathroom, security? We will do that using an unsupervised learning algorithm called LDA, or latent Dirichlet allocation, and we will use that as a classificator. Okay, so since the reviews of this website came along with the grade the user will give them, we had all the information we needed. So we had these reviews classified by the topic that we're talking about, and we will be able to provide information or key indicators for the public administrator. And for that part, Alejandro, you are the expert on how did we use this data that we have generated.
I have some questions before I go to this part. I think that it's really important, and I mean you went really quickly, and I think it will clarify better for the audience to get more the idea of what we did. When we say scrapping, that's a computer science world that at the end of the day it's reading. So we went to sites such as TripAdvisor and others. Well, actually, TripAdvisor, to be honest, yes. Please don't complain anything. Please don't tell them that we use this data because as far as I know, it wasn't really legal. Let's say yes, maybe legal at the end of the day because it's used for educational purpose. So it was okay. But for example, if we wanted to create a real product, like it could be the case, maybe in the future, who knows? But if we want to create this as a real product, we should have used other things such as APIs connected to, I don't know, Google or for Google Maps or TripAdvisor. They have a proper API. That's the correct way, but it's expensive. So we didn't have any budget for this project. So we use this other way to read, like instead of a person reading and copying every comment from the page, we use this. So it was more more automatized, let's say. And then just also one important point, and you went really quickly, in my opinion, that I think it's also really important. You mentioned that we classify them in different topics. That was not easy, as Camila said before, because I mean, splitting between accessibility and, I don't know, user experience in the cafeteria, it sometimes it's complicated. But I think I remember that, Francisco, you mentioned that there is also a way more sophisticated to do it, like with an AI that directly takes the topics directly and split them. So can you say maybe why we didn't use this and why we went to the other idea?
Oh yes, sorry about that. I was talking about the first idea that came to our minds, but actually we did implement a secondary system, as Alejandro said. Camila did really help us in doing that because we will need human expertise in order to classify these topics. So as for the method that we did actually use, we will have these keywords associated with the main topics that we found out were useful out of human expertise, as I said. But the secondary system, or the one that we planned to use at the very beginning, we were unable because of time, mostly because the idea was clear. It is to use this LDA system that I described. The main concept or idea behind it is like, okay, so you have a collection of texts. This is not the official terminology, but it is just to make the understanding easier. You will have this collection of texts, and you will say to the model, okay, so these texts are talking about multiple topics. Each one of them are talking about multiple topics at once. How many topics are there within all the texts that we are providing you? That's something that we must decide as humans. Okay, this is an unsupervised machine learning algorithm, and so you will need to iterate and also use your expertise as a human to help the system improve. Okay, also the measurement of how good the system is performing or adapting or training into the data that you're providing to it is not so easy to understand, and it is not comparable among different trainings. What do I want to say with this is that for some problems of machine learning, you will have a measure of how far you are from the correct answer. In this case, it is not that easy. You will not be able to have that measure. So you will have to continue iterating and reading and understanding. Okay, so the system is doing this. It is saying that this review is talking about bathroom, but it's also talking about security. Which which way should we go, etc. It is something that requires a lot of time and effort.
And I think most of the reviews are like that, because if I am a person making a review, a comment to the experience I had in a museum, I will talk definitely about many different topics, such as maybe at the beginning I would say the visit was really interesting, but then it closed really early for me, and the bathrooms were dirty. But the service provided by the, I don't know, receptionist was really fine. So at the end of the day, is it a bad review, a good review? Which topic is it related to? So very complicated. So that's for also the audience to understand better how complicated it could be. Yeah, I wanted to say that. So if I can continue, so the next step was to see the data, because well, we had this in a table in an such as an Excel file. I don't remember if it was a CSV, an Excel, or whatever, but we have like in a table all the data. So we decided to use ClickSense, that is a business intelligence platform, very known. We could have used another one, but well, that's the one I have more experience to, so I use it. But for viewing this, because well, we use the ranking. I mean, we actually, I think you didn't say. I don't remember, but we put like a mark, a points to each review we had. So at the end of the day, we have like a table for each museum, each I mean topic, accessibility, or whatever. We have like one punctuation from 0 to 5 or something like that. So at the end of the day, they were like the best museums in the world. So the ranks were really high, like really close to 5, most of them, the average. So how to measure that? So we decided to create like a big table with a ranking. So instead of comparing them with the scores they have, we decided to put them in a table and to order them. So each museum could be the best, for example, in accessibility, but maybe the worst in price or in other categories. So we decided to work on that because we understood that most of the museums maybe could learn from others about their experience they have in others museums in a specific category. So we use that, and we discovered that like the best museums, like the average, the best museums, they have still a lot of things to improve, because they, even the best, like in general, they can have like bad comments related to one category. So that's why we decided to do like that. And also, well, we also do like the normal dashboard with a map and all the points with beautiful colors and so on. But the idea was to create that to order them, and so we could be at the point to tell them, oh, you are maybe, I mean, top 5 in general, but then you are like one of the last in the specific point, and this is the reasons why, and we can get to the comments. So this is, I think, really powerful for also the possible public administration in charge to be able to work on that, even though they are really good ones. Yeah, so that was the idea. I don't know, Camila, you are smiling, so do you want to
Yeah,
say
because
something?
I'm remembering everything. So, for example, I remember that we had some session to when we tried to build the story of the museum director that wanted to use this and in which way and how. So I remember that at first we tried to, we worked also with ChatGPT, that it was like really interesting because for me it was one of the first like attempt to put ChatGPT in the work. And I remember, so it was say like, okay, we need to identify our like prototype of museum director. So it was a girl. It was like I don't remember like the name, but it was like she was frustrating for the law, for because there was not so many people into the museum, and so she wanted to change something. And okay, she discovered artifacts and she present artifacts to the IT officers. So I think that also um, try to put yourself in the to think and to understand the emotion and the need of the people that need to use at the end, help you to better like define a system that at the end, I think, in my opinion, was like really useful and could be. We can improve it, of course, everything. But the idea, since we were just students using resources, limited resources, it was like really really nice, and it was like really human, like to, I don't know, it was empathic with the situation, even if we are not we are not working into the cultural field. So like that methodology that we use also, I don't know, it was dolly, no, for to create in images. I don't know if you remember the.
It was Lexica.
Ah, Lex, yeah, okay, that one. It was like really nice, and you can try to to go deep and to stay into the word and the field and understand. Okay, because for example, I remember that I was also frustrating and understand what was the best option to understand to, the best like reviews and the best way to receive reviews and feedback to improve my work. So it was nice, and. Yeah, so for example, so this for me, since I'm not technician boy as you, and for all, I think also for our like colleagues, Melanie and Goran was the same. It was okay, we need to understand also, for example, for the labels, when we need to find the label for user experience, and I say like, okay, but except for the toilet and for the lights and for the duration of the wait, of the weight, okay, there are other stuff. So I remember that we were like search and we were reading the basic guidelines, I don't know, for example, that UK government suggests for the museums, for the national museums, and it was really interesting. Quite difficult, but it was interesting. So this.
I really enjoyed like this uh, teamwork that we performed. Like Camila will come up with these like UK guides for us to understand, but on the other side we had the academia efforts that had been made on this field. So, for example, we have like this same we have this idea without looking it up in the internet. Like, okay, so let's find reviews and classify them, and then we said, okay, maybe this has been done before, and it actually had been performed. And we found even a paper talking about that, about, I believe, a Turkish museum. So it is interesting how something that, for example, I wouldn't think about, Camila will provide to us. That was one of the good things about the master program itself too.
Yes, it was, and just coming back to the generative AI experience while working, I think it was really important also because, well, you will see the page; it's public, so I will put the page with all the images we use at that point for the project. Of course, this is a fake project. I mean, we haven't I mean, it's not something that we are selling just for if someone is asking for that. But we created a web page for putting the copies and the images that were done by artificial intelligence. And we laugh a lot because we saw a lot of limitations of the generative AI. So that's also an important point. And we laugh a lot because well, I remember that the name of the museum director that we chose was Sana Patel. So, well, it was not even us. I don't know why exactly we had this, but I think we just provide the main elements to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT decided that it was Sana Patel with the aids and many different aspects that I mean, even the clothes, and I don't know why exactly. I mean, we had something like that. So as then we use Lexica for creating the images. And as Sana Patel is an Indian name, a very typical Indian name. I mean, maybe Patel, I don't know Sana, but Patel is a very typical surname in India. Even without saying any word related to India in the prompts we use for the images, everything was related to India. Like all the accessories, everyone in the everyone, even the paintings. That was really really weird. Even the paintings were Indian people there. So very very, I mean, funny or weird, because I mean we haven't said any in any place that everything was related to India, but the AI decided that okay, that's India. I don't know why. And we laugh a lot because we were trying to provide other kind of prompts. Do you remember that we were saying please use I don't know exactly what we use, like ethnical differences. I don't know exactly, but we tried with many kind of words, and it was completely impossible to change the concept that we were doing an India museum, even though I remember we said somewhere that it was in Canada. But for them, everything was for ChatGPT. Everything was in India. So yeah. So if you see the images, you will understand better. Yeah. Yeah. So also, an important point I would like to ask you is your lessons learned while working in a very diverse group as we were, because, well, we are different, we have different backgrounds. And also the lessons learned while working in such a complex use case. So I don't know if you have any thoughts about that. Any of you?
Can I go?
Yes?
Yes.
Yeah. For example, for me it was the first time that um, okay, yeah. During the mastering cooperation, it was really common that in every course there were project-based learning. So the methodology of the master is the same. So they propose you real challenges, and you work together to define better. Because at the end, I think, at least for me, it's a really nice way to not just only improve your knowledge, but also your know-how and your skills. Because, for example, we were five. We were five, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Alejandro, Francis. Okay, yeah, good. But we came. Every one of us came from different backgrounds. You were the two technician, and then there was Melanie. That was also, I think, from the policy stuff, but maybe for public administration or something like that. There was also Goran. So and also we came from different countries and from different experience. So for me, and also with every one of us has a really different way to approach to new challenges. So for example, I remember that Francisco was okay, we have to find some data, we have to find sources, and I say no, we have to understand the problem. Okay, we have to think about it, and we have to read, and we have to, I don't know, like, understand what is the user experience in museum. And he was, no, we have to find the data sources, and okay, we can like download this, we can download. Okay, we have to ask Oscar. So I remember that it was quite funny because at the end we were stressed for different stuff, but at the end, like, we can always like chatting, always discuss together, always trying and learn and improve. Like, I don't know, I think that the iterative process was quite nice. And we are not expert in this field, and we are not expert in cultural like experience, but at the end I think that we have learned something So maybe if sometimes we will go to a museum, we can check better, I don't know, the reviews and the experience, and the if the toilet are near the entrance or in the exit or something like that. So could be, for me, it was fun and really a richness.
I think that I'm going to comment on Camila's lessons because I do agree. Like, we were able to understand and see how each of us think about the solution or thought about it in a different way. And maybe that it is even a reflect or of how our countries work, or I don't know, but these main differences of like, okay, let's go and do this, and after that we check if everything is okay, and maybe even it is better to say sorry than ask for permission. Meanwhile, the European side of doing things took place, and I was surprised because it was actually useful, and it was actually useful to also think about service design before jumping into doing something, right? Because even today, that's the mentality that many people have around artificial intelligence. Like, okay, let's do a product, and after we have done that, we will sell it. We don't know if it solves something. We first do that, and after that we check out. Whatever, we will see on the march. So it is a reflect, even in an academic or an educational background. It was very interesting for me to see that.
Yes, yes, for sure. I think for me it's more or less the same. Also, I mean, one technical thing is that um, it was also a moment for me to play with AI models, because I think until that moment we haven't played so much. And I remember that I was working with one of the well, something for the future, that we said future steps, or possible future steps. I don't remember, but I have been playing with YouTube videos, for example, with Whisper AI, which was something really new at that moment. We were playing with, and I use it to transcribe YouTube videos directly from a Google Colab script using Python. So really helpful. And then we added part of this text of this transcription. We were able to add it in the reviews, in the corpus we had for creating this data. I just said, I mean, I said that it was like a proof of concept because it was really hard to determine which kind of videos we wanted to use, because if you remember, I mean, if we use for a museum videos that were around 20 minutes, and for another museum's videos that are around 10 minutes, maybe the data is going to be biased, because I mean, if a person talks 20 minutes, maybe it talks I mean, it depends on the person, of course, but the detail of the reviews are going to be more precise. So it could be better or worse. I don't know, but I mean, it's going to be biased for sure. That we should have, as Francisco said, that something good I think we did is that we have the same amount of comments for all the museums, so the comparisons are fair. But if we have like three times more data for a museum than for another one, it's not going to be fair. I don't know which direction, but it's not going to be fair. So yeah, I think we just tried. We played a little bit. I think it was fun. I think I used a video from the Museo del Prado. So for a month, I had like a lot of reviews of Museo del Prado in my YouTube player. Yeah, I don't know why, but it was like really, really explosive. But it was really funny also. Yeah, something I wanted to mention. Yes. So
I
I don't know if
think
you have.
that
Yeah, go on,
maybe
Camila.
um, the only lack that we have, and I remember that when we were like presented the project, I think that maybe Martina or Marcia like suggest us to take more attention. It was for the ethical implications, but I think we were some like naive, because at the end it's not our context. So, and in just only in a month, it's quite difficult to understand all of the the aspects of this project. I think that we were discussing about, yeah, of course, for example, I remember the data ownership. I remember that we were like checking all of the privacy of TripAdvisor, like the review ownership was of TripAdvisor of the authors of the review. So I think that this was the discussion, the main discussion about it. But I think that also that we were like taking into account to include the different way to review, to take into account people with the diverse, like different, like with functional diversity. I remember for example, for blind people or something like that. So this was our first attempt to be more like inclusive. And I think this also, it's a really iterative process. We were suggesting also create focus group, specific experience to understand better, yeah, to be more inclusive. But it's an iterative process. I think that our prototype was nice, was a solid solution, uh, to be like something like prepare in a month with the Easter holidays in the middle. But yeah, this for in my from my field, I was more like, okay, maybe we can, for the next steps, would be useful to be more like ethical, like measure the ethical impact and all this stuff. But it's we are working on it, so I was quite happy about it.
And our logo was really fancy. Yeah.
Yeah, the best one, like definitely.
Really proud of it. Okay, Francisco, something to add at this point?
No, I wouldn't say so. I mean, I did enjoy the project and I did enjoy working with you guys. That's all.
Yeah, me
Thank
too.
you. Me too.
Okay, so let's finish this episode. I think it's going to be a little bit longer, but I think with a lot of value, so it's completely fine. So, just a small question that I usually ask to the guests that come to the iCoffee podcast. So, I will ask the three of them together to you. So, just, I mean, in one I mean paragraph or two paragraphs each of you, if you could ask to them. So the first one is, if you could give an advice to someone who wants to start a career in AI, more or less related to your perspective, what advice would you give? The second one is how the audience can contact you if they want to. And the third one is, which is your favorite type of coffee? Because this is the AI Coffee podcast. And well, Camilla, you are Italian. I hope you like coffee. But well, let's see that. So, Camilla, maybe you
Okay.
want.
Um, an advice, since I think that it's more common that technical people like follow this field, it's always to understand that your product will be something that will have always effects into the society, so, and with people. So take always into account that um, you work, and like, yeah, you work for people, and so please be nice with people, and take and ensure that all of the, like, everyone can access to your product, everyone can access to be free to express himself and all of this stuff. And how to reach me, yeah, I don't know if I'm in LinkedIn. I'm Camilla Roveri.
Yes, don't worry for that, because I will put all the links you mentioned here as part of
Okay.
the notes of the episode. So yeah, just say LinkedIn or whatever, and I will put your
Yeah,
your
and
ID.
also in Instagram, that I'm start to be more political, and to start to, I want to disseminate more some like international news. So, and like for Instagram, and Camilla dot Roveri, and and I'm Italian. What do you think? It's espresso for me, like as always, the best one.
Great, great, great. Thank you, Camila. And what about you, Francisco?
So as for me, I will suggest anybody who is interested in entering this artificial intelligence world to go for it. I mean, anybody has the abilities to learn and to be able to program something with artificial intelligence. You just have to go for it. As for today, there are so many online free courses and paid ones that you might get dizzy. I personally enjoy the developer guide you can find on GitHub. I will send the link to Alejandro so maybe he can share. There you will find many information, links, and everything will be free. I also have to comment that most of the time you might be nervous because maybe a university degree might help me get a job. Possibly, yes, I won't lie, that will indeed help, but mostly for the first time. Once you have experience, it will talk for you. So just go for it. Many people I know have done it. So, yes, it is possible to enter even if you are older, if you are 20 years old, 30, 40, 50 years old, or even more. It is possible to do so. If you want to find me on LinkedIn, it is Francisco Nicolai. And I will say that my favorite coffee is Americano with no sugar. Sorry,
for the ones
Camila.
that for the ones that you are not seeing, Camila is doesn't agree that.
It's shaming me.
American, it's not a coffee, please. And what about you, Alejandro? I want to. What is your
Actually,
favorite coffee?
at the beginning of this podcast, I don't remember exactly what I said, but I said something. I think before, like 1 year ago, my first coffee was with milk. I don't know why, but I don't know. But now I should say, Camila, I'm sorry, it's Americano without sugar as well. I'm with Francisco.
Oh,
But I also like espresso. I do not like anymore with milk.
we will
Well,
working on it. Don't worry. Come and visit me in Italy, and we will working on it.
yeah. So, but I mean, I like coffee, and that's why I mean, that's my podcast. I call it the AI Coffee Podcast, and not, for example, the AI Tea Podcast because I prefer coffee. But yeah, but it's interesting. I think no one asked me. People usually say their favorite coffee, and they haven't told me. So you are the first asking me. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we are finishing this episode. Thank you very much, Camila, Francisco, for your time. Just for more context to the audience, it was complicated to schedule a time with three because Camila and me we live in Madrid, but Francisco lives 5 hours ahead, right, or before. So now for us it's almost 11 p.m. I'm from Francisco. I don't know exactly what time is there, but yeah,
6:30.
yeah, 6:30. So thank you very much for being here so late or so far away, let's say. And also it was really a pleasure working with you.
Me too, guys.
Thanks for the invitation, Alejandro. It was nice talking to you, and the same for Camila.
See
Hope to
you. I
see you
hope.
soon.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, see you maybe in Madrid, in Chile, or somewhere else. Who knows? Yeah,
Why not in Italy, please?
or in Italy. Yes, actually, we saw in Italy in Milan once, so
The last
maybe
time it
the
was,
last
yeah,
time.
true.
Okay, so let's finish here. So thank you very much also for you are watching or listening this podcast, this episode. It was a little bit more different because we were three people talking. So sorry if it wasn't good. And thank you if it was fine. And if you liked it, please subscribe to the podcast. Follow this podcast episode, this program in YouTube, and see you next time. Bye bye.